Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful today.
Luna refuses to return to prison and holds Will at gunpoint. Nick Marone persuaded Brooke Logan that the engagement was genuine by sharing the specifics of what he had heard at Il Giardino. Nick, however, took issue with Ridge Forrester's decision to match Taylor Hayes and Brooke against one another. Nick began to question whether Brooke truly desired to live this way. Brooke found it difficult to let go, but Nick persisted in berating Ridge and believed he would eventually return to Brooke. As they reflected on the past, Nick urged Brooke not to allow Ridge to do it this time and presented himself as an alternative. Despite his earlier plans to return to Italy, Nick made the decision to stay and help Brooke because she didn't need to be alone at this time. During Friday's B&B episode at the Forrester estate, Taylor admitted that Brooke would not be pleased with her proposal to Ridge. Ridge emphasized that the announcement must come from him because he knew that Brooke would find this difficult because of their lengthy history together. She spoke with Will Spencer at Luna Nozawa's apartment how Steffi Forrester was interfering with her relationship with John Finn Finnegan. Steffi and Finn were thrilled when Luna revealed her intention to get rid of Steffi since they believed that to be sufficient evidence. Bradley Baker, the deputy chief, maintained that in order to strengthen the case, they needed to continue to listen and gather further information. Regretfully, Luna saw that Will was acting strangely and believed that they would be nude by now if he truly desired her. She demanded to know why Will was actually there because he was inquiring about Steffi and asking a lot of questions. Things swiftly went south despite Will's best efforts to keep the plot afloat and persuade Luna that he was genuinely interested in her. Luna became enraged with Will for setting her up as she tore apart his shirt to see the wire. Since the police were listening, Will urged that this was over and that Luna was going down, but she had other ideas and took the revolver from the drawer. Will had to hurry to calm Luna down after that, but she made it plain that she would stop at nothing to keep from returning to prison. Baker gave the order for Will's backup to go to the Cliff home and assist him right away. After seeing Luna appear unhinged on the video feed, Steffi, Finn, and Electra Forrester were all afraid about Will. Luna Nozawa's hands trembled as she gripped the cold steel of the pistol, her knuckles whitening as her breath came out in sharp, panicked huffs, eyes darting between Will Spencer's stunned expression and the half-open window behind him where moonlight filtered through like judgment from the heavens. She was backed into a corner, mentally, emotionally, and literally. The carpeted floor beneath her feet might as well have been a prison cell already, and she wasn't about to go back, not now. Not ever, not after tasting freedom, not after the plans she'd made, not after the promises she'd whispered into the shadows about escaping her past and creating something real with Finn, a future where she didn't have to flinch at every knock on the door, where she didn't have to look over her shoulder every time someone mentioned the word Forrester, and now Will, this man who had been slipping into her life with seductive ease, this man whose lips she had kissed just hours ago, was standing there not as a lover but as a trap, a badge in disguise, an enemy in sheep's clothing, and her heart felt like it was splitting in half because she wanted to believe that maybe some part of what they'd shared had been real, that maybe he hadn't faked all of it, but the wire under his shirt told a different story, a louder one, a crueler one, a story of betrayal and surveillance and manipulation, and her voice shook as she screamed, "You set me up," the words echoing through the cramped apartment as Will tried to steady his hands in the air, tried to appeal to the part of her that was still human, still reachable, telling her it didn't have to be like this, that no one had to get hurt, but Luna laughed, and it wasn't the kind of laugh that brought light to a room, it was jagged, raw, the kind of sound that revealed just how close someone was to shattering into pieces, and she told him through clenched teeth that he had no idea what it meant to lose everything, to be caged. Like an animal, to be branded forever by the worst thing you'd ever done, and she wasn't about to give up her second chance because a pretty boy got too curious and wore a wire. "You should have stayed out of this," she hissed, pacing, gesturing with the gun as the red recording light of the camera hidden behind the bookcase continued blinking steadily, catching every word, every step, every threat, and miles away in the surveillance van, Deputy Chief Baker was already shouting into his radio, demanding immediate backup, his face pale as he watched Luna descend into chaos, while Steffi, Finn, and Electra Forrester sat glued to the monitor, eyes wide, mouth slightly open in horror, because despite everything Luna had done, none of them truly believed she'd pull the trigger, none of them believed she was capable of real violence, until now. and Finn felt the sickness rise in his gut as he realized just how deep Luna's obsession had gone, how far she was willing to go to get rid of Steffi, a phrase that had initially sounded like emotional manipulation or petty jealousy but now carried the weight of something far darker, and Steffi gripped his hand, her nails digging into his skin as she whispered, "She's dangerous, Finn, you didn't see it, but I did," while Will, still inside the apartment, was trying everything he could to stay calm, to reach the version of Luna who once told him about her dreams, her fear of abandonment, her desire to feel loved without conditions, but that Luna seemed like a distant memory, like a mask that had slipped, revealing someone far more desperate and damaged beneath, someone who didn't see escape as an option anymore, only survival, and as Will took a cautious step forward, hands still raised, he said her name so softly it almost hurt, "Luna, please, this isn't you," and for a moment, her lip quivered, her grip loosened, and it looked like maybe, just maybe, she'd drop the weapon, but then her eyes flicked to the wire again, and the rage returned, stronger than before, hotter, and she snapped the gun back up with a shaking arm and screamed that she wasn't going to be a pawn in the Forrester game anymore, wasn't going to let Steffi win again, wasn't going to rot behind bars while everyone else lived their designer-clad lives in mansions filled with lies and champagne, and Will was trying to reason with her, desperately, heart pounding in his chest like a war drum, praying that Baker's team would get there in time, praying that Luna wouldn't do something she couldn't take back, but the seconds dragged like years, and Luna's breathing got louder, faster, until it felt like the walls were closing in on them both, and outside, tires screeched as the backup team arrived, boots hitting pavement in a rush of urgency, and Steffi turned away from the monitor, unable to watch, whispering a prayer that Will would make it out alive, that Luna would surrender, but inside, everything was happening too fast. Luna shouted that she'd rather die than go back, Will shouted back that no one had to die, and for one agonizing instant, they locked eyes, and he saw it, the crack, the flicker of vulnerability, the tiny sliver of the girl she once was, but it vanished as quickly as it came, and then the door burst open, a flashbang blinding the room in white light. Luna shrieked and fired wildly, the bullet ricocheting off the lamp, shattering glass, while diving behind the couch as officers swarmed in, yelling commands, red dots appearing on Luna's chest as she stood frozen, her whole body shaking, the gun still in her hand, her mouth open like she wanted to scream but couldn't, and then, silence, a beat, a breath, and she dropped it, let the weapon fall to the floor like it had burned her, collapsing to her knees with a sob that sounded like her soul had torn in half, and outside, under the sterile white lights of the ambulance, Will sat wrapped in a blanket, eyes haunted, staring at the sky while Baker debriefed the shaken team, while Finn and Steffi held each other and tried to make sense of what just happened, and in the holding cell hours later, Luna sat alone, hands cuffed, mascara smeared, staring at her reflection in the mirrored glass, wondering how it all went so wrong, how love turned into fear, how freedom slipped through her fingers like dust, and whether she was ever truly free at all, or just a woman running from a truth too painful to face. And back at the Forrester mansion, as the sun began to rise over Los Angeles, Ridge, Brooke, and Taylor stood in uneasy silence, the echo of the engagement still fresh in the air, each of them carrying their own ghosts, their own regrets, their own impossible choices, while Nick Marone stood in the corner, watching Brooke with eyes that held a different kind of hope, a quieter one. As if he too knew what it meant to chase a future that might never come, and somewhere in the distance, a phone buzzed with the next crisis, the next betrayal, because in this world, peace was never permanent, it was just the calm before the next storm. Luna discovers Will's plan. When Luna discovers the truth, Will need to act quickly. It's better to run. Luna Nozawa believed that her aspirations were at last being realized. In her apartment, haughty Will Spencer told her all she had been clamoring for. At last, someone recognizes her true potential and wants her. Though she believed Will would never leave Electra Forrester, she has been craving him for months, and now that he is here, she could not have asked for more. Until she discovers the reality. Before they have proof that she is pursuing Steffi Forrester Finnegan, Luna discovers what Will is actually up to. Does she see the lipstick camera Will left on her vanity, or does she notice the wire on Will when she approaches too closely? When they witness what is occurring, Electra, Steffi, and John Finnegan grow concerned and are resolved to rescue Will from this awful circumstance. Will be able to save himself, or will it be too late? The heartache of Brooke. Nick Marone tells Brooke Logan all he heard at Il Giardino, which serves as a wake-up call for her. In addition to telling Taylor that he is much in love with her and believes the ring should have been on her finger for years, Ridge Forrester accepted Taylor Hayes' proposal. Since Brooke felt certain that Ridge was her destiny and desired to be with her again, it's a lot for her to process. She believed that waiting it out was all she needed to do. Brooke was certain that this was the catalyst Ridge needed to recognize he belonged with Brooke when Nick came to town. Nick is now informing her that she was completely mistaken and that the exact opposite has occurred. Will Nick appear more attractive as a man who loves her and only her as a result of this? Is it time to get away from Ridge at last? Luna Nozawa stood still in the center of her apartment, arms crossed tightly over her chest as Will Spencer leaned in close. His breath smelled of espresso and sweet lies. His words, warm and calculated, echoed in her mind. Luna, I've never felt this way about anyone before. She had waited so long to hear those words from Will. Months of pining from the shadows, watching him cling to Electra Forrester like she was the sun in his sky, even though Luna could see through that perfect facade. Electra was brilliant, yes, but cold. Unreachable. Everything Luna wasn't, and never wanted to be. So when Will came to her door that evening, rain-soaked and heartbroken, mumbling about mistakes and second chances, Luna's heart leapt. Was it finally happening? Had he realized that the woman he needed had been right in front of him all along? The kisses they shared that night were passionate, raw, and full of unspoken promises. Will whispered dreams into her ear, and Luna believed them. She wanted to. She needed to. But somewhere deep in her gut, something didn't sit right. It started with the way he avoided certain questions. How his gaze would flicker when she mentioned Steffi. How he seemed more interested in details, her daily schedule, the layout of Steffi's beach house, when Steffi would be home, than in her. Luna noticed more things the next morning. A flash of metal under Will's collar when he bent to tie his shoe. Something about the curve of it didn't look like jewelry. Then came the lipstick. Her favorite shade, Rose Tempest, wasn't where she left it. Luna was meticulous. Everything on her vanity had its place. The lipstick had been turned slightly, as if twisted open, and inside, she found the lens. A camera. Her blood ran cold. Will wasn't here for love. He was here for intel. For evidence. And just like that, Luna Nozawa was wide awake. Chapter 1, The Betrayal Unveiled. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. Luna simply took a deep breath and set the lipstick down, gently, as though it might explode. Her heart thudded in her chest, adrenaline pumping, but she forced herself to stay calm. She had been played. Used. Again. It wasn't just heartbreak. It was humiliation. And worse, danger. Will was trying to trap her. For what? Her connection to Steffi? To the Forrester family? Luna's mind raced. She hadn't done anything wrong, or had she? She had confided in Will about her suspicions that Steffi was hiding something, that she had buried evidence about a family secret involving the company's finances. It had been idle gossip at best, paranoia at worst. But now? Was Will working for someone else? Was he under orders? She stepped into the hallway and stared at him, still seated on the couch, shirt off, grinning at his phone. So, she said, voice icy, who are you reporting to? Will froze. His eyes met hers, and for one moment, Luna saw something flicker across his face, panic. Regret. Maybe even guilt. Luna. Don't. Don't even try. She held up the lipstick tube. I know. I found the camera. He stood quickly, hands out, placating. Okay. Listen. Let me explain. Explain what? She spat. That you seduced me to get information on Steffi? That all of this, she gestured between them, was a setup? It's not what you think. It never is. Will ran a hand through his hair. Yes, I was sent to get information. But Luna, it wasn't supposed to go this far. I didn't expect to actually fall for you. I swear to God, I didn't. You fell for me? She scoffed. So that's why there's a wire under your shirt? Silence. That was all the confirmation she needed. Chapter 2, Watching Eyes. Unbeknownst to them both, across town, in a Forrester security surveillance room, 3 people stared at a monitor. Steffi Forrester Finnegan, Electra Forrester, and John Finn Finnegan were watching the live feed from the lipstick camera Will had planted, a feed that hadn't been deactivated yet. The 3 of them had set this up, not because they distrusted Luna exactly, but because they needed answers. Luna had been getting too close. Asking questions. Poking around in places she shouldn't. Will was their insurance. But now, watching the expression on Luna's face, hurt, betrayal, fury, Electra shifted uncomfortably. She found it, Finn said grimly. She wasn't supposed to, Steffi muttered. What the hell were we thinking? Electra snapped. We never should have sent Will in like that. Luna's not stupid, she's fierce, and now she's angry. That's a dangerous combination. Too late to pull Will out? Finn asked. Steffi nodded slowly. Let's hope it's not too late for him to get out himself. Chapter 3, Will's Desperation. Back in Luna's apartment, Will took a step forward. She stepped back. Don't. Just don't. Luna, I swear to you, they made me do this. Steffi and Electra, they thought you were digging into company files. They thought you were trying to expose something. I told them you weren't dangerous, but they wouldn't listen. I was just trying to protect you. She laughed bitterly. By what, seducing me? Lying to me? I didn't lie about how I feel, he insisted. I meant every word I said last night. You said you loved me. I do. She looked at him, stunned. You don't get to say that to someone and then betray them. I had no choice. There's always a choice, Will. He moved closer. I'm trying to make the right one now. I want out. I want us. But I need your help. She eyed him warily. Help you with what? Help me bring them down. Electra. Steffi. They're hiding something big. I've seen the files. I don't even know the full story, but I know they're covering it up. If we work together, we can expose them. We can end this. You want me to spy on my own family? You want revenge, don't you? She did. Oh, she did. But not like this. Chapter 4, Brooke's Awakening. Elsewhere in Los Angeles, Brooke Logan sat at a small table at Il Giardino, her hands shaking slightly as she sipped her wine. Across from her, Nick Marone watched her with a mixture of sympathy and caution. I know it's a lot, he said gently. But I thought you should hear it from me. Brooke blinked back tears. Taylor proposed? To Ridge? And he said yes. Told her he's been in love with her for years. That she should have had the ring all along. Brooke swallowed the lump in her throat. She had been so sure. So sure Ridge would come back to her. That their love story wasn't over. Why now? She whispered. Nick shrugged. Maybe he finally saw what he wanted. Or maybe Taylor just beat you to the punch. She laughed bitterly. I always wait. Always think he'll choose me in the end. And he always doesn't. Nick reached across the table, took her hand. Maybe it's time you choose yourself. Or maybe someone who's actually here. Who's always been here. Their eyes met. And for the first time in years, Brooke saw him, really saw him. Nick. Steady. Honest. Safe. Was it finally time to let go of Ridge? Chapter 5, War Begins. Luna stood by the window, staring at the skyline, Will's words still ringing in her ears. He wanted her help. He claimed he loved her. But love without trust was nothing. Still, if what he said was true, if Steffi and Electra were covering something up, maybe even framing her, then she couldn't afford to ignore it. She turned back to Will. Fine. I'll help. But on my terms. He blinked. You mean it? I'm going to need access. To your files. To everything. And if you lie to me again, I swear. I won't. Good, she said. Because now we're both in this. And if we go down together. Will smiled faintly. Ride or die? No, Luna said. Just ride. You're the one who might die if you keep underestimating me. He laughed, but there was unease in his eyes. Because deep down, Will Spencer knew the truth. Luna Nozawa wasn't someone you fooled twice.